And I'm going to grab the handheld mic here in case any of you have some words of wisdom to share with us, which you always do. Okay, get comfortable. Just find a spot to sit anywhere along the front here. We might have to have a couple of you sit on the other side of the railing there. I'm just going to hop down here. Okay, does this work, Graham? All right. Okay, this way you guys can all see the book that I've got, and then we've also are going to have the pages of the book up on the screen for everybody else to be able to see what we're reading. So this is a book that I've had for a while. It's called The Darkest Dark, and it's written by a pretty famous Canadian, actually, a guy named Chris Hadfield. Have any of you heard of him? No? You have? Okay. So do you know why he's famous? No?
I just heard of him.
You've heard the name. Okay,
I've
cool.
read his books before.
Cool. Well, he's actually an astronaut who at one point was the commander of the International Space Station. And so that's why he actually became social media famous because he took his guitar up to the space station with him, and he would post YouTube videos playing his guitar in zero gravity in the space station, and he would post these songs to YouTube. And so he became pretty famous, but he was in charge of the space station, and he has since written a couple of books. So because this is a book written by an astronaut, I have to tell a space joke. Do you guys like space? Yeah? Okay, so there was two rocket scientists at NASA, and on their coffee break, and the one guy says to the other astrophysicist, "The moon is great and all, and I totally am stoked about us going to Mars one day, but I really think we need to launch a rocket to go and explore the surface of the sun." Do you guys see any issues with that? Yeah?
So many issues.
What's the main issue?
You'll just heat up and die before you even make it.
Well, that's exactly what the other guy said.
Human bacon.
You'd be what?
You'll turn into a strip of human bacon.
And I love bacon, but that sounds like a horrible way to die. Anybody else? Any other issues? Okay, so basically that's what the other guy said to him is you can't land a rocket on the surface of the sun. You'll melt way before you get there. And you know what he said? It's okay because we'll wait and we'll go at night. No, so obviously that's not how it works. The sun doesn't just turn off at night, right? But the dark is what we're going to be talking about in this book. And the dark is an important part of our lives as much as the light is important, right? What is something that's important about the dark? Like, why do we need the darkness, do you think? Anybody? Why do you think we need the dark? Is there anything good about the dark?
I got one.
Okay.
You don't get an overdose of vitamin D.
That is a really good answer. Any other answers? What's important or good about the dark?
Well, you can't possibly sleep in the light.
Right? Unless you've been to church long enough that you've gotten really good at sleeping with your eyes open. Like, no? Is anyone afraid of the dark? It kind of helps you to sleep at night, though, right? Like you want the lights off, you want things calm, you don't want to have glaring lights. Okay, so keep all of this in mind while we dive into this story, The Darkest Dark by Chris Hadfield. We'll get going here. Okay. Chris, as I've told you, was an astronaut, an important and very busy astronaut. When it was time to take a bath, he told his mother, "I'd love to, but I'm saving the planet from aliens." When it was time to get out of the bath and go to bed, he told his father politely, because astronauts are always polite, "Sorry, no can do, I'm on my way to Mars." An astronaut's work is never done, so astronauts do not like to sleep. But their parents do. "You're a big boy now," said Chris's father. "You have to sleep in your own bed." And Chris tried, he really did, but his room was very dark, very, very dark. The kind of dark that attracts the worst sort of aliens. Chris was going to sleep in his own, but his parents meant it. Chris was going to sleep in his own bed tonight. His mom and dad checked under his bed and in the closet and even in his underwear drawer. They declared the room 100% alien-free. Sorry. They tucked Chris in. They turned on the nightlight. They even gave him a special bell to ring if he was nervous. Clang, 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 clang. They took away the bell. And then his father said something that worried Chris even more than the dark did. "One more peep, young man, and I'm afraid we'll all be too tired to go next door tomorrow." But tomorrow would be a special day, a very special day. Chris had to go next door. His life pretty much depended on it. So Chris stayed in his own bed without a peep. It took a long time to fall asleep, but when he did, he had his favorite dream. He flew his spaceship all the way to the moon. The next day seemed to last forever, but finally, when the moon was shining over the lake and the summer wind was ruffling the leaves of the trees, Chris ran next door. The house was already full of people, all gathered around the TV, the only TV on the whole island. Chris grew up on an island in Ontario. Chris found a spot where he could see through the crowd, and what he saw was astronauts, real live astronauts on the actual faraway moon. They were wearing puffy white suits and jumping for joy, jumping so high because there was so much less gravity there. The grown-ups huddled around the TV were amazed. Their whole lives long, they'd never expected to see this sight. Even Chris, who had been to the moon just the night before in his dreams, was amazed. He'd never really noticed how dark it was there. Outer space was the darkest dark ever. Pure black, exactly. There they all are looking up at the moon from the dock. That night, Chris did a little experiment. He turned off all the lights in his room, even the nightlight. It was still dark, very, very dark. There were still shadows that looked a little, well, alien. Nothing had changed, but Chris had changed. He'd seen that the darkness of the universe was so much bigger and deeper than the darkness in his room, but he was not afraid. He wanted to explore every corner of the night sky. For the first time, Chris could see the power and mystery and velvety black beauty of the dark. And he realized you're never really alone there. Your dreams are always with you, just waiting. Big dreams about the kind of person you want to be. Wonderful dreams about the life you will live. Dreams that actually can come true. And they did for Chris. Like I said, he went on to become the commander of the International Space Station. He's floating away. Oh, you're right. He's not connected by a tether in the picture. You're right. Whoever illustrated this for Chris left out a few very important details.
And they also made the suit in the dream
Yeah.
launch suit, not the actual one they use when they land.
Is that true? I didn't even notice that detail.
The yellow suit, the orange
Yeah?
ones are meant for launch. No.
You know a lot about space travel. Do you think you'd like to go to the moon or to Mars one day? No? You just find it interesting? You just know your facts, yeah. Well, thank you guys for joining me for this story together. And I think, are you guys heading downstairs next? Okay, well, all right. Have fun downstairs.